Fearless investors, we're back. I know what you're thinking. Who is this baby face, good looking dude? Had a little change of wardrobe, had to cut my stash, cut everything, but we growing it back. We growing it back. Welcome to another week of this week's podcast. I'm excited about this one because we're going to get a little bit raw by interviewing one of my students. We've talked to you guys for a long time about the CASTR method, about creatively acquiring short-term rentals. Well, I wanted to share with you an interview that I did with one of my students, Funmi, where they bought their first property within the first 6 weeks of them taking the CASTR course. And so in this podcast, we dive into her story, which is, to be honest, is very, very relatable to everybody watching this, myself included, on the early stages of my career, where you don't know what to do. You have all of the energy, all of the desire to be able to take the next step, but you just don't know how to do it and how to get there. And Funmi kind of walks us through her experience of doing that. She had a portfolio before, a small one, and then she eventually took the CASTR, and already within the first 6 weeks, she's bought a property and they're cash flowing on it. And so I'm super excited to share this one with you. Again, if you guys haven't already taken a look at the CASTR or any of the free resources that we share with you guys, please make sure you guys go and visit thefearlessinvestors.com, .co. And again, that's thefearlessinvestors, plural.co. All our resources are there for you to be had. But let's dive into this interview and make sure you're taking notes. Here's Funmi and Jacob. Welcome, the Fearless Investors, to another episode. This one is a little bit unique. I'm super excited for this one because this is a podcast with one of my students who I love to death. I love Funmi. I love Jacob. They're awesome. Their story is incredible. And I've gotten a lot of people asking questions about, hey, how are people doing with CASTR? What's the progress update? And so I wanted to bring them on because Funmi and Jacob are hustlers. They already had an existing portfolio. And I just remember the day they started, day one, they were just super bullish and they wanted to jump into it. And so I'm excited to dive into their story. Funmi, thank you for being here. Appreciate having you.
No problem. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Jacob couldn't be with us today because he's out doing the GMAT today. So he's out there hustling with his mind. Love it. But we got Funmi here, and let's be honest, we all know who's the boss in the relationship. So
you already know.
As long as we got the boss, we're all good. So Funmi, thank you again for being here. I think really to start this off, give us a little bit of introduction about you and your husband, your business, where it was before you kind of started into the CASTR and everything else.
Yeah. So Jacob and I both went to the Air Force Academy. And so at my first duty station before we were married, my dad forced me to buy a triplex. And I say forced me because I was tired of roommates. I really wanted my own space. I was excited about being able to use the VA loan. So I wanted this nice single family. And my dad was like, no, get a triplex, get a multi-unit, something that you could stay in and then have your tenants pay your mortgage. And I was pretty mad. It was a pretty tragic triplex, roach infested, flea infested, all that. But yeah, so that's where our journey began. Me and Jacob were dating at that point. Jacob was in a culture shock because my dad is a real estate agent. So I was used to this kind of game. But Jacob was like, what the heck are you guys doing? And so he, jumped right in while we were dating, helping me flip and do things like that. So that's where the love for real estate really began for the both of us.
When was this? What year did you buy that first one?
That was in 2018 in Florida. Awesome. Yeah. And it's actually our biggest money maker still. But we know, being with you, you're going to take us to new levels. But that's our greatest cash cow right now. And then we moved to Utah in 21. We did get 2 more properties. And so we had a total of 6 stores. because one was a duplex and one was a single family out here. And 3 of them were Airbnbs. And then when we joined your course, we like got one in less than 6 weeks, which is crazy. Jacob and I, we maxed out our VA loan, so we do understand the privilege of being able to use such a loan. But every loan has its max, has its cap, and so being able to join the CASTR group and learn about creative financing like launched us to get like another property that we wouldn't have been able to get traditionally, and we were able to turn that into a STR as well. So yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. So there's a lot in here, and I kind of want to like start from the beginning and then kind of get through it because obviously you guys buying, you know, your first door in the first 6 weeks of CASTR is super exciting. But let's kind of get before that. So you guys, you had jumped into what sounds like long-term rentals first, right?
Yes.
What
Mhm.
made you eventually decide to jump into the short-term rental space? Why'd you guys end up doing Airbnbs?
I can't remember the catalyst. Oh, I was watching Jesse Vasquez videos
Oh
and he was
yeah,
talking about midterm
yeah.
rentals. Yep.
Yeah.
And so that got me super interested in just shorter term rentals in general, just because it seemed to make a lot more money than long term. We really wanted more. We really wanted to grow, and the properties took care of themselves, but not enough to, get an equity line of credit out of it to buy something out here. And so we are like, okay, well, let's try short-term rentals, and that's how we started. So we started with the duplex here in Utah, and then I actually went back to Florida 4 years later to turn one of the units into short-term rentals, and
Love
that's been wild, super wild.
it.
Like this, like Fort Walton Beach is low key, like it's wild, like what you can get in the summer. So we're really
Yeah.
glad we were able to turn our one of the units into the STR. But yeah, that's why watching Jesse Vasquez, I went to a midterm rental summit
Yep.
that he threw last year. And so yeah, I learned a ton, and we're like, yeah, this is the move to do this kind of renting. So
Love it.
yeah.
And so when you guys had eventually made the switch, did you start because Jesse's obviously big on insurance contracts, right? And so
Mhm.
is that where you guys started, or did you kind of just furnish it and start on Airbnb?
We just furnished it and started on Airbnb. I think it's definitely location based.
Yep.
And the size of your rental. And so we either had units that were too big, too small, or it's a multi-unit. Insurance companies don't really place families in multi-units. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but we haven't had a lot of luck on places on Furnish Finders. I think out of the 3 years we've been running, we've gotten like 2 or 3 people from Furnish Finders. So, and oh, I will say we were attracting midterm rentals through Airbnb. So like our
Nice.
bigger single family, we were getting like painters, like dudes working at the Walmart painting for a couple months. We had guys who were installing fiber. So even though we started on Airbnb, we were getting midterm like clients.
Yeah, yeah, love it, love it. So your guys' journey starts with your dad gets you to buy, just a owner occupied multi unit, right? And then it starts to be like, okay, let's jump into this game. Watch Jesse Vasquez. You jump into the short term rental space. You start seeing success there. At what point did you guys know then you wanted to start buying properties? And when that happened, like what was the limiting, what were some of the problems that you were running into scaling your portfolio, especially before CASTR became a thing?
Yeah, so I mean, Jacob is very analytical. I wish he was on here. He's an engineer. And so he wasn't trying to buy like nothing because he was like, the numbers have to make sense. And I'm like a little crazy too. Like I'll buy something if I don't have the money for it. So we make a good team, balancing each other out. So I've always wanted to buy. I'm like obsessed with real estate. And I don't know, I just like the just providing good quality spaces for, cheaper prices. We always, long term, on the long term side, our rents are a little bit lower, but we provide like places that we would love to live in and we have lived in. So I just like that part of the hospitality part. So I've always wanted to buy, always wanted to scale. And so I think it was after Jacob and I combined the rest of our VA entitlement. This was in 2021. That's when we knew, like, dang, like we can't really, I mean, we could
Tapped
use
out.
like the conventional. Yeah, we're tapped out and we're like, dang, like what do we do? And I was watching Paige Morby and like some other guys on YouTube about creative financing, and being, in the military, I don't have time to door knock and I don't have time to make calls. I mean, I do have time, but I don't really want to put in time, to be honest. I'd rather use my my time a little bit differently. So yeah, it was like in 21 we were kind of maxed out. We knew we couldn't get anything else without putting ourselves in a bad financial spot. So
Yeah, yeah. And so enter CASTR, right? And you guys were some of my OG students. Like you were some of the very first to jump on the CASTR when it first started. So walk me through kind of your guys' experience, like deciding to take the CASTR. What were the reasons there? And then what was your initial experience jumping into it?
Yeah, so we actually saw you for the first time at a real estate meetup in Salt
That's
Lake
right.
City.
That's right.
Yep, and you
Very
were
group.
talking. Yeah, yep, Perry Group. And I don't know, I was like, this dude, he's a real one. Because you were just spitting facts. You were like, you gotta go get it. Like I liked your mindset because I very much am like, you got to go get it, but I didn't have the tools. And so to see someone who had that mindset and then also had the tools, I was like, yeah, we gotta talk to this guy. So we talked to you, and you helped us get into this course. And I have to say this, it says a lot about your character because you could have made more money off of us one by one, and you still pushed us into doing this course, which saved us money and also provided us with a group of people that we can interact and encourage each other with. So we like very much appreciate you for doing that. And so um, I know that I was at the point where I was like, we need mentorship. We also need to put the money where our mouth is. Like, we pay for degrees. Why not pay for this real estate journey and learn? And this is a lot more fun than going to school. And so you caught us at a point where it's like we understood we had to put money into the education for real estate to move forward. And yeah, I watched my dad do that. He would go to conferences. He'd pay like, like thousands to get into some of these conferences. I never understood it. But now it makes sense because of the information that we're able to get. And so, yeah, that's why we joined CASTR. And then what was the second part of your question? I forgot.
So yeah, so you guys decided to make CASTR. It seemed like a good fit. What was your initial experience like? What were some of the things that you guys saw right off the bat that were beneficial?
Yeah, I think it's just all the little things that the little pieces of information that just end up coming out through conversation. So like what you shared at the meetup a couple weeks ago was very transparent, but then when you actually talk to you more and get, your time, more things come out. It's not that you were hiding it. It was, you have the space and the time to really divulge all the information that you've given. So there's no gatekeeping, which we appreciate. The group is full of people who like are experienced to inexperienced, and they're all like asking questions that I would have never thought of, Jacob would have never thought of, which answers questions that we didn't know that we needed. And then the people that you bring to speak with us, like sometimes it's real estate related directly, but it's all helpful towards our real estate journey, no matter if it's like purely real estate or purely acquiring business. Like it's training and opening our minds to think bigger, which is what I appreciate about the group. And then everyone like hypes you up for the most part. Like we're always like, you know, messaging each other.
Yep.
Like even the quiet ones will come out of nowhere and be like, congrats. Like it's like
Yep.
good. We're meeting every Thursday and, you know, just encouraging one another, giving each other info. So I really appreciate, me and Jacob appreciate the course for that. So
Yeah, love it, love it. So I want to dive into, so you guys joined this course. There's obviously a lot of good benefits to it. Now I want to speak to like your guys' journey of application, right? Because
Mhm.
like education is only as valuable as you apply it. And so you guys, and that's why I love you and Jacob, because from the beginning, you guys were hustlers and you guys were motivated to go get your first deal, and you did in
Mhm.
6 weeks, right? And
Yep.
so walk me through that journey. Walk me through that journey of like how you guys found your first deal, what it was like, and your experience there.
Yeah, so you not directed, but you kind of gave us some guidance as a group on how to start finding deals like these. And that required like making phone calls, that required like taking notes, that required underwriting and things like that. And so, yeah, I just started Zillow. I've always loved Zillow, but now I love it even more. So I just spend time just favoriting properties that I'm interested in, calling realtors. It was a little bit discouraging because I was calling for 2 weeks, which the real hustlers will laugh at me because I've heard everyone say it takes like 100 calls to get like one deal, and here I am like at 60, like about to cry. So lots of calls and lots of emails and just like just putting myself out there. And finally, it was on a Facebook group that, again, you've guided us to join groups like that. I found a deal in an area that I zoned in on. So throughout the process of calling different people, I was also trying to narrow down what areas that I wanted to
Yep.
buy in. Utah right now, we just don't have the capital to afford. I know there's deals out there. I just haven't found them yet. So I found a cheaper market, ran across a Facebook group in that area, called them up, and it was actually like a wholesaler, I think,
Yep.
that already teed up this pre-foreclosure actually. And that's how we were able to acquire the home. And again, because of the people that you've recommended, they kind of saved us a couple $1,000 because we had people on our side through the transaction. So, yeah, it was, so in summation, it was discouraging, it was fun, it was hard. I know I had a deal and then it didn't work out. And I was like, I can't let Lame down. Like, man, I gotta get this. So literally a week later, I was able to find the deal because I was like, I gotta freaking get a house because I need
Uh,
it for my ego. But yeah, it was
I love it. I love it. I love it. And you guys did that. I mean, you hustled hard. You went and found a deal and you closed on it and everybody was stoked about it. And one thing I want to point out is you talk about like, the calls and nothing coming from the calls, getting discouraged. Like honestly, it's like there's something weird about the universe and how it works. Like once you just start putting effort out in
Mhm.
whatever form, like it always comes back. And so,
Yeah.
like, I like to think that those calls, those 60 calls you did make, like, even though it came through a wholesaler Facebook page, like, those are all necessary steps to get your first deal. And you
Yes.
understood that. You went and took action, and here you are. And so, congratulations. So now you've closed on the deal.
Mhm.
Talk us through the terms. That's what everybody wants to know. Like, what do the terms look like? What do the hard numbers look like?
Mhm.
I know you guys furnished it, and then we'll dive into kind of the post Airbnb because I know you guys already have some bookings, but we'll get there. But Talk about the acquisition terms. Talk about the hard numbers.
All right. So let's see. What it was it was 29,000 plus closing costs
Okay.
for this particular home. We would take over a loan that was at 3%. The home was 279 like market value. The loan that was left was like 248. And so part of the 29,000 plus closing costs did cover the wholesaler. It also covered the seller's realtor. So I can only assume, I'm a realtor as well, so I can only assume that the realtor found this wholesaler and kind of struck a deal. And so me and Jacob ended up covering that fee. It also covered the next month's mortgage, covered just a bunch of things. But yeah, 3%, and it was like a $1,725 monthly payment.
And what did you purchase it at? What was the purchase price again?
The purchase price, so when everything was all said and done with like the 29 and the closing cost, it was 286, I want to say.
Love it. So that means really, so with your down payment, it was right around 10% for everything to acquire the property at 3%.
Yeah. It was crazy.
That's a great deal. I mean, you buy a house like that today, you're putting 60, 70 grand down plus closing costs. And you're buying it at a 7-8% interest rate, right?
Yeah.
So for you guys to be able to find that deal, close on it on those terms is absolute bonkers. That's incredible. And so you buy the property on incredible terms. What did you guys furnish it at? What were those costs looking like?
Okay, so literally just did all the math last week. It was
you can give us kind of like
13,000. Yeah, general. Okay. It was 13,000 to furnish and fill all the owner supply closets.
Okay.
We still need to do the backyard, so we'll put about $3,500 more to like throw a barbecue, a canopy, and then do like the backyard. Nice. Maybe add a jacuzzi. But yeah, 13,000. I'm really proud of that because we were calling around to try and get someone to kind of set up this Airbnb because I know that's a market. They were going to charge about $40K. So we ended up just flying down there. So even with the 13 grand, it was like 15 with like plane tickets and stuff. We stayed at the house, so we didn't pay for lodging. That also included renting a Penske truck to like, which that's like the move, by the way, because getting a Penske truck and just because we got a bunch of stuff from Facebook Market and Amazon. It was like a plethora of different places we went to.
You're just driving around the truck picking stuff up, huh?
I sure was. I was at McDonald's in the Penske truck, like, because it was expensive going to budget for a truck, like actual truck with a bed. So, anyways,
No, that's awesome. And those are all those are nuggets, right? So you're all in, really. Even then, you assume all those costs, you're really at 15% all in for this property, that all costs paid for, down payment, everything, and to furnish. And that's huge, especially at a 3%. And so you have this, and then Jacob kind of filled me in. What was you guys got your first booking? What was it? What did it look like? Well, how much was it? What were the terms there?
Yeah, so so if you take 1,700 and take 25% of that, I know my math is not public math.
1,700 times 25%, $425.
Yeah, for a 3-day stay.
Let's go.
$430 for a 3-day stay. Yeah.
So your first booking essentially covered for 4 days 25% of your mortgage.
Yes.
That's gas. See, and it's crazy because people think I make this stuff up. People think this stuff isn't real, right? But like you did it. Like, and what's crazy is like 4 months ago, you wouldn't have known. Like, people just don't know what they don't know. You're
Yeah.
sitting there thinking that's like, oh man, like we're tapped out on our veteran entitlements, but then on top of that, it takes us 20% down to go conventional. When
Yeah.
you spent 15% down on a property all in for it to be ready Airbnb, and your first booking covers 25% of your costs. Like, that is crazy for 4 days, mind you. So you have
4 days.
another 26 days to make
Yeah.
money and to cover your costs and be profitable, which you will. And so that's incredible. That's awesome. So how do you guys feel? Like, now that you did it, like, talk me through kind of the mindset shift of like knowing that this is a strategy that actually works, and knowing
Mm.
what you thought and some of your limiting capacities, limiting mindsets prior to this. Like, where are you at now? What were some of those mind shifts that took place?
Yeah, I definitely feel like more empowered. It's like with anything, like going to school and getting your degree, like you're like, oh, I actually did it. Like same with getting this house. It's like, oh yeah, there's actually a way to do this. And so I know my mindset before joining Caster, I was still hustling, but I was like, I don't know where to go. Like, I
Yeah.
have all this energy. I don't know. I see other people like me, doing the thing. And I'm like, what are they doing? Because I know I can do it too. So now it's just empowering to move forward. And yeah, and random, but I know I said the 60 calls didn't really mean anything, but I will say some of those people have come back and reached out to me for like more deals and stuff because as you taught us, I did tell them if you have anything within these parameters, like let me know. So it has been helpful in that regard. So
Yeah.
we'll
And
see.
deals are starting to come. When you cast your net wide,
Mhm.
you start to see people follow up, check in, and suddenly that's when you create the basis of your referrals, right? And people just start coming. So I love that. I love that. So, last few questions then. Congratulations again on your success, everything up to this point. There's people watching this, right, that were in the same shoes as you were, right? And that don't know where to go. They don't know what to say, what to do. What's your number one piece of advice for those people? What would you tell your old self a year ago, 6 months ago, now that you're in the position that you're in now?
Yeah, I would say just don't be stubborn. I know I was pretty stubborn for a while. I was like, dude, I'm pretty smart. Like, I can figure this out. And then I just had to eat some humble pie and know that I had to listen to someone who had the experience. So just surround yourself in like real estate meetups, join Caster, and like, he's not paying me to say this, but like, you don't meet very many people who are, about their business who's not trying to take advantage of you. Like literally everything we learned has helped us grow. So yeah, just surround yourself with people who can take you to the next level. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Funmi. Last question. What's the goal? What's the next step? What's goal for Funmi and Jacob's business?
Yeah, we're just trying to go as far as we can. I don't even know if I ever want to stop. I I like this game, so and I'll continue doing it after my military career too. So yeah, I think the next step is just to continue to acquire more short-term rentals in the market that we found. And also use like just apply your method to flip opportunities and stuff. That's what I want to get into. We've done a lot of flip and holds. I mean, currently living in my duplex where the basement's unfinished. Um, and so it's just we're ready to just do some flips and make some cash and then also expand our portfolio. So
Good for
yeah.
you guys. You guys are awesome. Well, congratulations again. Thank you so much, Funmi, for being here. Appreciate you. Please tell your hubby we miss him, but
Yeah.
congratulations from us as well. Guys, hopefully you guys took some incredible value from this. These are real people with real results. And I just appreciate you genuinely for being on here, Funmi. So until next time, you know where to find us. Appreciate you. Thanks, Funmi, again for coming.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hopefully you guys found a lot of value in that. Hopefully you guys were able to really take from Funmi those mental milestones that they had in taking the next step and finding a mentor and taking their portfolio serious in building it to the next level. And so hopefully this was valuable. Again, guys, if CASTR is something you guys want to learn more about and you want to have more understanding of all these little details that she mentions, go ahead and click the link below. Let's get you on a call with me and my team. And I'd love to see you. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, we out, baby.